Okay, we're back. It's only been 3 years, it feels like, since we have found the time here at the Body Beauty Show to have on another exemplary guest. And today we have on what could be the youngest, most successful esthetician, owner operator of a spa, maybe in the universe. I don't know. We'll find out. Raquel Parker in Meridian, Ohio, owner of Spa Raquel. Raquel, thanks for joining us on the show. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? But I'm actually from
Amazing.
Idaho, not.
You're from Idaho.
Yeah, no, I live
Oh,
in Idaho. I think you said Iowa.
no. I must have put the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. No, she's living in Meridian, Idaho, I believe, correct?
But it's nice to be here.
It's good to have you on. It's good to have you on. So I think we should light the fire and get this thing started. So as a starting point, I like to get the listeners oriented around who you are, what you do, that sort of thing. So maybe give us a brief bio, what you do, and how you started specifically, because you started at 18. You've
Mhm,
owned your spa for 4 years now, and
mhm.
you moved. So we'll bleed into the move down the line, but let's get started with your story, and we'll get this podcast started.
Yeah, so when I was 18, I was in senior year of high school. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. I was like, should I go to a 4-year college because I hate school, or find something I really like and try to go that way with it. So at that time, I was actually dating somebody who had a rare skin condition called ichthyosis. It's literally where you're covered in like pounds of dead skin, like blackheads, just really itchy. Like I'm not kidding, like pounds of it would be like all of my clothes. And
Wow.
me, yeah, being disgusting. I would pick, pop, scratch for hours. I was disgusting. I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm such a picker. And at the time I had a friend going to esthetician school, which I was like, Esta what? Like what? That's no one really knew back then what that was as much as today. And so I did a tour and she gave me a facial and I was like, oh my God, you do this for a living? Like, because I've been very artsy and I like to work with my hands. I'm more of like a hands-on learner. So I just kind of jumped for it. And I was like, oh God, am I going to get bored? Am I going to like, am I going to be good at this? And so during school, I just like really put my head into the game and I studied a ton. I just like was like, I'm going to force myself to like this. And then I actually didn't need to force it. I actually ended up really liking it. So that's kind of the beginning of how I got started. So
Wow.
yeah.
So
hmm
you worked in a spa between the ages
hmm
of what, 18
hmm
and
25. So I think I opened when I was about, 24. And I worked at a spa called Body Spa in Washington. And at first I was just doing, like front desk kind of stuff. And then a couple estheticians, they moved out and I kind of took their place.
ah,
And so I applied at 20 different spas and I only got 3 calls back.
wow.
So I was like, I just want to get my foot in the door. I don't care if I have to sweep, mop, whatever. I will do whatever to get a job. So I got very lucky. And then she was kind of my mentor, my old boss, to kind of show me like the business side of it, as
Sure.
well as like the aesthetic side of it, essentially. So
Huh. So you
yeah.
started your business in Washington, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What was it like starting? How did you get started? Talk us through how
Um,
that
yeah.
unpacked.
So I had a steady clientele with under her. And I, like I had a lot of ideas that she wasn't feeling. Like I wanted to do microblading and I wanted to try, like microdermabrasion and other things that she was like, oh, maybe. So I just started venturing out and thinking, could I own my own business? This is crazy. Like I could make more income, but then there's more responsibility. And so I had a friend working at a place called Indie Hair Society in Everett, Washington. And she's like, we have a room available. You should take it. And I'm like, oh, whatever. Yeah, right. I can't do that. So I just like started researching it. And every time I went to bed, it just kept popping in my head. And I was like, okay, maybe this is a sign that I need to take it. And I kind of nonchalantly just started telling my clients from my old place, like I was leaving, and a lot of them ended up following me. So it was kind of nice. Like I know a lot of spas are kind of like leery about that, but
Yeah.
it was just like a town away. And actually had like a full schedule before I even opened, which was nice. And then I just advertised the crap out of myself on Google, passed out my business cards, and yeah.
So
So
so you started,
yep.
as far as your location, I think you said in Indie Hair Salon, right? So it's a room
Indie
that you
Hair
rented.
Society. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you
So
found a
I was
room.
renting from them. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So you rented a room, and I'm curious what percentage of your outgo, your expenses, roughly
Mhm.
speaking, went to your rent? So of the total revenue that you pulled in that first month, how
Uh-huh.
much of that went to your rent for the space that you were in?
So how much like basically essentially was my rent?
Yeah, percentage wise. So you made, I don't know, we'll just use
Um,
easy numbers. I made $1,000 and 200 of it went to my rent.
yeah, I mean, I can't really remember what I was first making. I think like my first month I made like 5 grand, which was pretty
Wow.
good. But so $725 a month,
Wow.
like, would
Okay.
go towards that.
Sure.
But that doesn't include supplies. That doesn't include, like your furniture, your decorations, like stuff like that. So about 5 grand it took to start,
Wow.
uh, with licenses and yeah.
Yeah, supplies and cost of goods, et cetera. Yeah, the reason I asked that is I think a lot of our listeners, the base, or at least a chunk of them, are probably nurses
Mhm.
or those that are looking to venture out on their own. Maybe they're an employee of a spa and like, I can't possibly go do what
Mhm.
Raquel did, get my own room and take the risk.
Yeah.
But lo and behold, you did.
Yep.
And month one, you pulled down 5K, which, to make any profit your first month in any new business
Mhm.
is insane.
Yeah, it is.
Look at the some of the charts of companies like Netflix, for example, and they were like cash flow negative for
Mm.
months, and that's a mega company. So to be profitable month one is very exciting, and it sounds like what you would attribute that first month of success to, the first quarter, first year, whatever, was the hustle. So you
Mhm.
put in the work. And so I'd be curious to hear exactly what that looked like as you went about attacking your promotional efforts. I'm assuming a big chunk of that was social, but
Yeah.
you mentioned handing out your cards. You were on Google. Maybe talk us through how you went about advertising yourself in the beginning with the tight shoestring budget.
Yeah, so I opened like a Yelp account. And then I just told my clients after done seeing me, I'm like, hey, I'm trying to grow my business. If you could please leave me a review, that'd be awesome. So I had some clients of mine go on there, and then of course people would go on their own. Um, I was with Google AdWords. So basically, when you type in, like spa near me or lashes near me, my ad would pop up, and I would pay just for the amount of clicks that people click on it. So you can get like 50 clicks, like 100 clicks, and you won't pay that until you get them all clicked for the month. So that would help me, and it would kind of show, my like algorithms, like how many people are checking my site, how many people are looking at my website. Um, I've always told myself if I don't hand out 3 business cards a day, I'm failing.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay.
because it is such an easy way to kind of just put yourself out there. And I'm very social. So like I'll talk like at the grocery store and I'm like, oh, I like your lashes. Oh, thanks. I was like, I actually do those for a living. Oh my God, no way. Like, where are you from? Let me know. Give me a card. Boom,
Yeah.
bada bing.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
2 out of those 3 people might call you. They might book. They're like, oh, she popped in my head, like I liked her personality. So that's just a
Yeah.
really, easy way of getting people. So
I
yeah.
think listeners would benefit from understanding this bias, this cognitive bias known as the availability heuristic. So, evidence of this availability heuristic, which is simply to say that we generally go with the first thing that's ready in our mind with any buying decision, right? So, if you've seen Coke 1,000 times, maybe different ads or whatever, and at the grocery store, you're like, oh my God, should I get a Coke or a Pepsi? You're
Yep.
going to choose Coke because it's on the forefront of your mind. So
Yep.
it's the availability heuristic. So we tend to choose when it comes to decision making the thing that's most ready and top of mind. So that said, you hack that
Hmm.
in a very non-salesy way
Yep.
through a compliment, through people that you brush shoulders with at the grocery store, whatever. You had a
Hmm.
card in your back pocket, you would hand it out, and then you had a 66% conversion rate of lead to sale effectively, which is insane and very
Yeah.
cool. So
Yeah.
I think that's great. I think this is the thing. I think a lot of estheticians or those that are aspiring to open up their own spa, whatever, are nervous about, how do I promote this thing? How do I get it off the ground? I'm scared about the risk, the lease of, renting a room or whatever. And I think that there's plenty of ways that you can bootstrap your way to cash flow, being positive through doing these sort of hacks where you're doing what you did in person. Hey, I love your face. I love your skin. You don't have a minefield of acne in your face like Austin does. That's exciting. Better hairline than him. Here's my business card. Call me later.
Yeah.
I love that. That's very cool. So what else did you do in terms of advertising to start? Were there any other lessons that you had? Like what didn't work? What did work?
Yeah. Logos are huge. You want to brand yourself. You want your logo to be like what you represent. And then also they'll see that on your card, kind of like you were saying about the Coke advertisement. They're going to go by my room and be like, wait, I have seen this logo before. Maybe, wait, that's that girl. Oh my, click, So that is really good too, because this is just the beginning. You're going to grow. So keep your logo with you as you go. So people kind of know you. Let's see, some things that didn't really work. Honestly, like the Facebook marketing thing. So you like pay for your ad to go out. They're very, very picky about what ads you can and cannot put on there. And I would pay for the week or for 2 weeks, and it didn't get a lot of hits. I think Instagram is definitely the way to go because it's getting more popular and it just shows all the pictures of your work. And Facebook is just like kind of fizzled out. I don't know if it's just with me, but that's what I kind of dealt with personally. So
yeah, they're very, very fickle.
Yeah.
I mean, having your ad rejected is very commonplace, which makes it really tricky. And really makes it such that, your cost or your return on time, if you're trying to hack the Facebook ads game yourself while being the operator, it's almost impossible to do. And it's such that I think you almost need to hire somebody and have the budget to do that. That's reputable, has delivered the goods in the past. Because otherwise you're just setting yourself up to light your cash on fire. So I don't know if you'd agree, but I think for those that are just starting out, they're probably better off bootstrapping, doing or having an approach like you did, which is essentially cold outreach. You're in the grocery store, you're in the mall, you're buying shoes, whatever, bumping shoulders with strangers, which in COVID or a COVID environment is a tricky one, obviously. Hey, nice face. What? You can't see my lips. They're hitting me out of mask.
It was like mask me. You got the mask acne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. So it sounds like, Facebook, if you're starting out, probably best to stay away from that. Hire a pro, which, on the show, we've talked a lot about outsourcing things that you're just not gifted in. So booking, running your accounting, probably should hire an accountant, right?
Yep.
Not
100%. I tried to do my taxes the first year and I wanted to rip my hair out. And also I think I messed up, but yeah.
Don't worry. The IRS is not listening. You're fine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. You've got to outsource. You got to know, this is the thing too. And maybe, maybe you thought of this yourself and we'll change gears here in a minute. But one of the things that I think is important to know and think through as an owner operator is what the hell is the value of my time broken into chunks of hours, like an hourly unit. So if your time is worth $100 an hour, why in the hell are you doing a $50 an hour task? It's stupid. Outsource it. Outsource it. Yeah. Right. So what would you say are some of the core tasks that new estheticians need to be ready to outsource? Accounting, web development.
Yeah, you definitely need an accountant, like a good CPA who knows what she's doing. There's so much that goes into it. Like no one just gives you a book and is like, okay, here's step 1, 2, 3, 4. No, you are all on your own, sweetie. Yeah, that's the reality of it. And it's because I have like done so many mistakes. I'm like, why didn't I just hire someone and invest in myself so that I wouldn't have made these mistakes? Like, that's how as I get older in this industry, I'm learning, okay, might as well just pay someone or research the crap out of it before trying to, do it on my own so I can save some time.
Yeah.
And then, and then what was the other question? Just different tasks that,
what would you say the average esthetician needs to be ready, or spa owner needs to be ready to outsource and not do themselves? So tasks that are
Yeah.
to be delegated.
Yeah. So definitely the accountant. A website. Like
Mm.
I tried to I tried to make my own website on Squarespace and I wanted to throw my laptop out the window. Um, and I was like, okay, I don't feel bad. I need help. So I actually hired somebody to do my website. And she was really affordable and it was still on Squarespace, but she did some things to make it more pretty and just kind of like the way I wanted it. So you might get prepared to do something like that. Um, and just like keep in mind every time you like invest in those kind of things, it's like going to make your business better. So
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's, in a digital world, your digital face is equally important, if not more important than your actual face of the storefront, the room that you rent, your spa, whatever, because it's your first impression of your buyers. And if I go and if I'm, let's say I'm a prospective, I don't know, PRP client of some entity, I'm going to choose the company that has the best reviews, number one. Number two, has the best digital presence. So if your website looks like you hired Helen Keller, bless her heart, rest in peace, to do your website, I'm probably going to run the other way and say no thanks. And so your digital face is extremely important. I don't think enough people pay enough mind to that. They have this over reliance, I think, on Instagram as their go-to hub. And to me, it just shows a lack of commitment and investment in your own brand and the weight you're putting in the development of your business. And so, I mean, I don't know if you disagree, but I think it's an imperative that you have a website and a damn good website and pay for it.
For sure.
Right?
For sure. Especially because it will be linked to your Google. And then say like in your website, you say you do facials, it will like pop up faster for people looking spas near you.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of compliments on my website. They're like, I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed. I'm like, oh, they're like, it's just really simple to the point. I'm like, okay, cool. That's good to know.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Cause I think let me reframe this. So as a prospective buyer, let's say I was a guy in Meridian and I was looking to, I don't know, do whatever you do, which you do 1,000 things, chemical peels, microneedling, lifts, tents, brow lamination, sugaring, waxing, etc. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do what you said. So let's say chemical peels near me, right? And then the SEO gods at Google are going to populate the top 10 results on the SERP, so the search engine results page, aka the first page you see in Google. And if you're not on the first page, you don't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Listeners, here's a quote that's going to haunt you to death. Okay. No one is going to pluck you out of obscurity. It's on you to find a way out of that and lift yourself into the forefront of people's attention and awareness by getting on the front page of the SERP of Google. So if you're living in Beverly Hills and you're competing against plastics and derms and big med spas, good luck. You might need to get creative. But that's, I think, an important thing to be thinking about. But that said, as a pivot here, I do think your website's great. And this actually is a great segue into the way that you've diversified. I do want to come back to why you moved, by the way, because you have a very interesting story, I'm guessing, from why you moved from Washington to Idaho that the listeners would benefit from. So actually, let's park the website stuff here for a bit. Share the story, if you would, on the move and why you moved and how that's affected the business. I'm assuming there were some challenges with the move because you had to start over, right? You didn't have any client base that follows you. Unless you had some stalkers, which in that case, if you do, let me know and I'll deal with them because that's disgusting and this.
So I'm from Washington, born and raised, and I grew up in a town called Arlington. And it was really cute, like cute little hometown, pretty small. And it started getting busier, which is fine. And it rains all the time in Washington, as you know. And it started kind of moving in like, theft and like drugs and just like bad vibes. So I moved away and I actually moved to around Mill Creek area, which is a little bit more upscale. I actually moved my business there as well from Indie Hair Society because my first business inside Indie Hair Society was in a town called Everett, and there was homeless people everywhere. And I was like, I need something better for my business. So then I moved to Mill Creek. Well, then it started getting so expensive, and because you're in like a nicer area. I just was like kind of dealing with, I don't really like what Washington's becoming. It rains here all the time. I have seasonal depression. I am here for the money because I was making very good money, but then it was all going towards bills. So I had a vision and I kept trying to picture it there and I just couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it surviving with the mindset that I kind of had. And like, it just wasn't realistic. So I actually came to Idaho a couple years ago. I was visiting a friend who lived here or who lives here. And I just fell in love with the environment. It was very clean. And I was like, why can I see myself living here? This is weird. So I did more research about it. Saw it's one of the top cities in America growing right now. So then I thought that'd be good for clients. There was a lot of open availability for moving my business. The rent was cheaper. It just seemed like it was like kind of where I grew up, like a little bit more homey, a little bit. And so it just felt right. And so I started investing time out here in Idaho, finding an apartment. Like, where am I going to work? Am I going to open and move my business from Washington to another state? That's crazy. And I have no clients. Like, I would be leaving a whole clientele to move, pick up my life, and just start completely over. Like, that's insane. But I did it. So I guess I'm the insane one. Yeah, so and not to mention, this is during a pandemic. So it was already scary as it was, like moving alone. And now we put a pandemic on top of it. And I lost my job for 4 months because we had to force to be closed. And during this time, I was like, should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? And I was like, well, if I don't go now, it'll be never. So I am packing my stuff up. I had 2 more weeks to work in Washington as we like got the okay to go back to work, and then packed all my stuff in a U-Haul. My parents helped me ship everything here. I actually moved my business into a franchise called Phoenix Salon Suites. And so I rent out my suite from them, and I actually live 3 minutes away. So like today I have a gap. Yeah, I have a gap. I have 1 client later, but I just go home and hang out with my dog. And, it just seemed like a better fit for me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So you had a vision.
Yep. I still have a vision.
You said, I'm doing it. I don't care what it takes.
Yep.
I don't care what it costs. I don't care about the risks. I'm going to do it.
Yep. That was my mindset. Mm-hmm.
Was there some other tincture in there that helped you overcome the fear and anxiety of failure? Because I think a lot of people, their biggest failure is having not started. Mm-hmm. Meaning doubt is a traitor. Mm-hmm. I'm forgetting a quote from Shakespeare. Doubt is a traitor. Okay, hold on. I forgot to edit this out. Anyway, doubt is a traitor, and it's the power of inertia that holds people on the ground and prevents them from getting into orbit and blasting through the escape velocity to get to where they want to go. So there was some way that you found that you were able to encourage yourself, motivate yourself, Tony Robbins yourself, whatever, to overcome the force of inertia and get it done and make the move. Was there something in that equation, that tincture, that led to you taking the action to do it?
Yeah. And what it was I don't want to live my life based solely on money completely. The main reason I was staying in Washington was because of the money I was making and the comfortability of having a full clientele. And that's not enough for me. Like, I don't want to base my life on those things. That does not run my life. But of course, I want to still be successful. I just feel like I will be more successful in a place that I'm happy in, because you strive to be your best self when you are in an environment where you're happy. It's a lot harder when you are kind of stuck in a rut and you're trying to be happy for your business and, try to fake your happiness through like where you're at. So I just told myself that. And then I also got a lot of good feedback from my parents. They're like, you're going to do awesome. You got this. Like, clients were like, yeah, you totally got this. Like, Idaho will be lucky to have you. And so I just got that encouragement. And then I just like believed in myself. Of course, doubt will take its play. I did have a couple people here saying, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. And I've
Ooh,
been doing pretty good.
wow.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks, no, sorry, the first month was so hard because I was laying in bed one day and I was like, I have almost like $3,000 in bills a month and I have no income. How the frick am I going to do this? Oh, and are we going to get shut down again during a pandemic? But yeah, so I had no clients. I was freaking out and I was like, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? Like leaving all that money, all those clients, everything. And so every single day I went out with my pug. She's a good conversation starter. And I don't know, I just started talking to strangers about like what I did, why am I here? And people here are very friendly and like wanted to know. And then yeah, I just started meeting more friends, telling them about it. They started booking. I listened to a podcast about Groupon, which I've always been very against Groupon, but it has helped me immensely in like growing my business, especially because I'm newer in the area. So yeah, just kind of stuff like that.
Action, 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 action. Talking to strangers, using the bait of a pug to get attention, to then compliment the lashes of the individual you're talking to. Genius sales strategy. And it's bootstrapping and it's free. So I would say to those that are listening that are thinking, maybe you're in the same situation. You're laying in bed. Oh my God, I have $3,000 a month in expenses.
Mhm.
What am I going to do? You've got two choices. You could stay in bed and do nothing and
Yep.
expect someone to pluck you out of obscurity and feed you clients, or you could do the work, get off your backside, make a call, pick up the phone, put yourself out there, make content, which by the way, I'm setting you up for a segue. Make content, video content, social media content, blog content, blah, 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 whatever,
Mhm.
and put in the work. And more, and actually, most importantly, position yourself for risk and failure. Meaning, specifically, when you said people in Meridian are telling you or have told you or did tell you, you are going to fail. That's
Mhm.
extremely good news. Why? Because no one's going to tell the person who's doing nothing they're going to fail because they don't care. Like, you're a loser. Get out of my face. Right? It's when you get flack and hate and pushback that you know you're on the right track. So
Mhm.
don't give up, listeners. When you're trying, you're struggling, you're spinning your wheels, and you're getting nowhere. Doesn't matter. Take the action, combat inertia, and maintain momentum. So that being said, speaking of content, there's a very subpar segue. One of the things I laud you for is, aside from having a fairly strong follower base on Instagram of almost 2,200, probably climbing, you seem like you're very, very, very committed. You might even have a rotation of or a schedule of when you release new content. But as I look at your Instagram page specifically first, you have a ton of posts, over 500 over the course of X amount of years. So you're
Mhm.
churning out content all the time, and it's the same story on your website. If we pop over there and we look at your blog, your online store, etc., you are churning out content. So I want to first give you kudos on the website because it is great, but I also want to explore the thinking behind your content creation. If there's any sort of like scheduling that you have or a
Mhm.
specific approach there. And actually, let's park the question there and answer that first. So when it comes to content and social strategy and just generation of photography, blog posts, whatever, how do you think of that? Is it important? What's your approach? Let's hear what the feedback is so the listeners can
So it's
steal your
definitely,
ideas.
yeah, it's definitely important because you're going to show clients and the outside audience like what your business is about. And there's every day that pop up to me that would look good next to each other in like each post for Instagram. A lot of what I do is I do action. So I'm always, like reading the next best cleanser or like in magazines, or I did a chemical peel class this summer. So I'll kind of talk about that and then kind of explaining like I have a ton of different facials. So what each facial does, what kind of skin type it's for, who would it like address to. So those are kind of like where I get my post ideas. And then the blogs, I haven't written one in a while, but those are all constant questions that I usually get from clients. So like, I'm just going to put this in a blog. So if they have questions about it, I'm like, go read my blog. And so that's kind of where I get my ideas. And then, I'm like also inspired from other esthetician posts that I see where I'm like, oh, that'd be a good idea. Or, I could do that with this and just make it kind of fun. I like to make it fun. You don't want to make it too boring and blah. Like,
Yeah.
so that's kind of where I get my ideas.
I like Gary Vee's approach. He is an advocate of just documenting. I think a lot of people feel this immense pressure of, I don't know what to create. Everything's already been said. Okay. Well, document your day, what you did, who you're serving, what you learned, what you did, what you're afraid about, what you're nervous about, what you're excited about, et cetera, and just document it. Yep. Even if it's some YouTube channel of you just sharing your ideas of the day, what you learned, whatever, documentation is easier than trying to come up with some novel idea. Because look, here's the facts, ladies and gentlemen of the listenership. I would say viewership, but we don't record video, unfortunately, maybe one day. but document, chronicle. People are going to love what you have to say. Even if you think you're boring, which, by the way, we're all boring. Everyone's boring, except for James Bond and 007 and, those that are living these lives of high octane and race fuel and jets, et cetera. Even their lives are probably boring, frankly. At least the successful types of folks are usually pretty predictable. They have their patterns, they do deep work in the morning, same restaurants. Anyway, we're all boring is the point. Just document your day. Now, speaking of documentation of your day, you have done something better than I think I've seen almost everyone that I've talked to and even sold to in my real work with CryoSkin, which is that you've diversified your website to be it's retail, it's content, and it's also a magnet for bookings. So talk us through how you came to the conclusion that, now this is, it's going to sound like a dumb question because the answer is obvious, but how did you come to the decision that I need to diversify through way of having an online store, so retail, and how did you build that out? Because I think a lot of people would benefit from knowing, okay, well, I do these services, but what do I do when I have a 4-hour gap in my calendar and revenue's not coming in?
So the online store that I have, this is actually kind of new, but it's through Glymed Plus. So that is the skincare line that I carry. And I've always wanted to sell retail online, but they have it where, so if a client goes onto my online store through my website, buys stuff, then I make 40% commission off of whatever they sell. Wow. But I do not have to deal with packaging. I do not have to deal, with shipping it. So that's kind of how I got into that. And then on your Instagram, you can talk about, the products. And then usually they're like, oh, I like that. Let me go to her store and look at that. Or like sometimes they'll run deals. So that's just an extra way to get income as well. So
it's an affiliate program then? So they essentially pay you for leads, more or less.
Yeah. So that one's not, that's through my Amazon affiliates. So I was doing that through my blog posts. So I'll talk about my blog and then sometimes I'll drop certain products in my blog. And then if people go click that post and buy it directly, then I get a very low payout. So you can do something like that, which, I saw money, but it wasn't that much because it depends on how expensive the product is. So,
well, it's another revenue stream, and if you have higher traffic to your social pages or website, even if it's an extra few $100 a month or whatever, winning, right?
It's another source of income for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't we pivot a touch to some of your product lines for retail? So you, when I was prepping for the show, I saw one of your videos, like I mentioned ahead of the show today, on Endocannabinoid
System.
There it is. So how did you end up landing on that as an opportunity for you? What was the decision-making process and thinking behind that add-on?
Well, so Glymed Plus, they just came out with their CBD line. And how I kind of chose Glymed Plus is they have so much education. They have so many videos over their website. They have webinars, they have different blog posts, newsletters. And in it, they do like an educational course like every 3 months. So I took the online course, and that's when I learned about the endocannabinoid system, which is everybody has a system. It's naturally inside of them, but it can get thrown off with stress. If you're traveling, like if you're having sleeping issues. So CBD will actually soak into your skin and works with your own natural system. So meaning like if you are producing too much oil, it's going to send receptors to your cells to produce, so to tell it not to produce as much oil. If you're too dry, then it's going to say, hey, you need to produce more oil to keep your skin soft and supple. So they kind of teach you like a lot of science with this line, because it's more like medical physician formula. And yeah, I'm still learning it. So I'm a little, a little rough around the edges with it, but it is super interesting to learn, and like things I've never even heard of with skincare before.
How has it affected the business from a revenue perspective?
I think it's affected it like pretty good, because a lot of people will see that I'm selling Glymed Plus and they know that I'm offering those products in my facials. And so they were like, oh my God, I want that facial. They also have like over 68 protocols for different facials.
Wow.
Which is a ton. So yeah, they're getting more popular for sure.
So if you had to guess, what percentage of your revenue now comes from your retail products?
I would say like 20%. I'm bad at percentage.
This is why you need an accountant, people.
Yeah, this is why I'm an esthetician, actually, people.
Well, the main point here is that if you, excuse me, are an esthetician and you're renting a salon suite, Sola salon suites, Phoenix salon suites, whatever, and you're not offering something in the way of retail that your customers can grab on the way out the door, that you can upsell them, you're missing out.
Yeah.
And you're apparently missing out on 20% of the revenue that you could have based on Raquel's numbers.
It's really easy. Like, I mean, I sell average like 5 to 8 products a day. Like you just have to know what you're talking about. Education is going to be really good for you because it's going to help you sell more. And then if you have passion for what you want to do as well, that's going to make it sell so much easier versus if you're just trying to make a quick buck. Like you got to actually care. And a lot of my clients tell me, we tell that you care and like you love your job and I want skin like yours. So sign me up. So it's just, yeah.
Well, one of the ways to be credible is to give a shit.
Yeah. Giving a shit is great.
and one of the best ways to not do that is to push something onto somebody. You need this. What? No, I'm here for a massage. Why are you trying to sell me a lawnmower? I just wanted a massage. Let me go.
Yeah.
Right. So to be credible is very important. One of the things I'm researching and learning about personally along those lines of persuasion is from a book taken from Dr. Eric Knowles. And he wrote a book called The Science of Social Influence. And there's about 20 different ways that you can be credible. And one of them is to be empathetic. Be empathetic, be empathetic. And to be empathetic means that sometimes you have to say, no, you actually don't need this. You don't need this. Don't buy this. Don't buy this. It makes you more believable. And so I think that's where having the attentive ear and listening to what the customer actually needs, the outcomes they're looking for, and you, the practitioner, esthetician, operator, whatever, doing a phenomenal job, ideally up front with your consultations to figure out exactly what they need is going to best set you up to best serve that person post-treatment. When you're offering them, hey, you probably should get this because of this. Oh, it's going to cost you X amount. Now you're credible and you're not just pushing and peddling, in hopes of getting a few extra pennies on the book. So, okay. Wow. We have already chatted for 50 minutes and there's so much more to talk about. Why did you choose Phoenix Salon Suite over Sola Salon Suites or any other suite provider?
So I used to be at Sola Salon Suites in Washington. But here there was another Sola Salon Suites, but it was downtown Boise. And I noticed that there is a ton of estheticians in downtown Boise. So therefore I saw it as, a little bit more competition. It was kind of weird. The parking situation I didn't like. That's huge with clients. You want to make sure they have like a good location and parking. So I just wasn't as impressed. But this building that I'm in now, it's only about a year old, and it's actually one of the most expensive buildings in Idaho.
Wow.
So it's like kind of like off Eagle Road in Fairview, and it's like getting a lot of traffic that people drive by. I noticed there was so many people busy inside already, so that if their clients are walking around, they're going to see my door. And a lot of people who are inside there, they see me for facials, and then now they're telling their clients about me. So it's traffic. So that's why it's working, because a lot of people in there, their clients are now seeing me, which is really nice.
So the distinction or the determinants were parking, location,
It's so important. And there's
the
32,
traffic.
32 suites inside, I think. So everybody's their own business.
What is the suite run, the average suite run a month?
So mine's 900 a month. Okay. And then the windows, I think, are like 1,000. Yeah, 1,000 a month.
Okay. So, an average then probably, well, certainly in your area, but maybe nationally, for a room or a suite would be between maybe $700 to $1,500 a month in rent.
Yeah, because there's actually 400, I think, Phoenix salons in the United States, as well as Sola salons. Yeah. So it just kind of depends on where you live.
Okay. So do they make you sign like a long-term lease, or is it month to month?
So what's cool about Phoenix is it's month to month, which I thought was awesome too, because if I don't want to stay here for long, I can just, go somewhere else. But Sola salons, I signed a 2-year lease, which was kind of annoying because I would have moved here sooner if I couldn't, have been with them. So I really, so we just have to give them 45 days notice, which is perfect.
Wow.
And
why
it's
would
week
anyone
by
go
week.
with Sola to have 2 years of commitment? That's
Yeah,
insane.
it sucks. And like, he wasn't like freeing me of my lease like during the pandemic, and like I only had like 2 months to go. I'm like, can I just find someone, and like wouldn't. So I had to pay it, which sucked, but that's why I'm like, okay, Phoenix, there's no paperwork. I can just get out when I want. That's freedom right there.
Wow.
Especially if like we did get closed down, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So it sounds like you would advocate and defend in the court of truth that Phoenix Salon Suites is the one to jump into with.
Yeah. I think it just like, it's a little bit better of a safety net in a way, because you're not stuck in a lease for a long time. They also have maternity leave that they pay you for. They pay for your insurance. They also have their own booking site if you want to like get signed up with them. And then your pay for the rent comes out weekly automatically too. So you don't have to worry about writing a check every week or whatever.
Okay. So Phoenix will give you a room for $900 a month, or depending on your part of the country. They'll give you access to booking software to book your appointments.
Yep.
Right. They charge you weekly, and they pay your insurance. Is that professional liability? What insurance is that?
Yeah. So I think it's like if you have esthetician license or cosmetology, depending, like the basic kind. I know I had to pay a little extra because I'm doing microneedling, so I needed more insurance for that, but they cover the basics.
Wow.
Yep.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. Well, this infomercial for Phoenix Salon Suite's over. Let's move on to something more interesting here. What do you wish that somebody would have taught you earlier on that you took way too long to learn because nobody taught you? Was there anything that you've learned along the way that you wish you would have known sooner?
Honestly, just to hire a really good CPA in the very beginning, because I've been through some. Actually, I had one that passed away, which is super sad, but they just didn't really know what they were doing. So I would say definitely to invest in a really good CPA. And I'm talking like she does basically everything for you, because it is life-changing. Just take a lot of stress off my shoulders.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just wish I did that in the very beginning instead of trying to figure out it on my own. And then also all the write-offs that you can get in the beginning, like figure that out instead of as you go. I'm like, oh, dang it, I could have wrote this off or this or this. Like have that all set in stone before you even open so that you can know and be prepared for taxes.
Keep your receipts. Keep your receipts.
Keep a trail.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, we're getting the hook on time. So a couple last minute questions here before we jump off the interwebs and away from the mics. What would you say has been the biggest or best rather investment that you've made in your business to date?
Okay. Definitely skincare. So like retail, because I sell a lot of it and then you need it for your facials. So definitely skincare. Also my microneedling pen was like not cheap. And then like my LED machine, like all the machines I have are helpful because they're already like, now they're paid off and they're still continually like getting me money. So that's nice. Yeah. So all my little gadgets, skincare, and definitely like a website. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. So here's the last question before your plug. If you had to start over again, okay, so let's say I was your student. I'm like, hey, Raquel, I want to hire you to be my coach. I'm a guy, I'm a girl, whatever. I'm in, Podunk, nowhere. I'm in Manhattan. I'm in Timbuktu. I want to start a business. I want to be an esthetician. Are there any pro tips that you would leave the listener with who in this scenario would be your student if you were a coach? Any advice, any pro advice from Raquel?
Okay.
Pressure's on.
Remember your why. Like, why are you doing this? Why did you start? And always try to like have a passion for what you do. If you start to feel yourself like running dry from it, just kind of ask yourself, why did I get into this business? And then don't be afraid to like ask questions too. Don't try to figure everything out on your own, because I got the hands-on work through my boss. And if I didn't learn that, I would have learned completely on my own opening. I wouldn't have known anything. So definitely I would say work under someone first if you can, to learn your mistakes, because you will have mistakes.
Yeah. Find a mentor.
Yeah.
Sounds like. Yeah. Well, very cool. Well, I've enjoyed the hell out of our time together today, Raquel. How do our listeners find you, connect with you, if they want to jump on your planet and come shake some trees?
So my Instagram handle is at spa_Raquel. And I also have a website, sparaquel.com. I'm on Facebook. Yep. Raquel Parker, Spa Raquel. It's a very easy name to find. I've noticed, like very easy to find on Google. You'll get it.
Not an easy one to spell though. So I'm going to spell it for the listener. So it's spa_RAQUEL. And that's her Instagram handle. Check her out. She's got some very cool photos. She's got a fun brand. There's a lot you can learn from her just by spying on her IG page alone, no less her website. But don't steal her ideas verbatim. Come up with your own. Create your own.
I'll find you.
And the rest of it. Or she'll find you and she'll Liam Neeson you to death. Just kidding. Just kidding. All right, listeners, and Raquel, I had fun today, and I'm going to get back to the trenches, so to speak, with the day job and the real work. So I appreciate you stopping by today, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.